Welcome back, you guys. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Swadik Mayanja, and yes, I am Q the Nurse. And on this channel, I bring you news, current events, and fun topics for nurses everywhere. Today, we are on another episode of the Everyday Hero Show, where I bring to you someone in my life or someone in your life that brings joy, happiness in our lives, but does not get the credit that they deserve. And today, I am lucky I have Cami Kesler on. She's a nurse practitioner, master's degree in nursing. She did L&D for 12 years, decided not to become a midwife, became a family nurse practitioner, mother of 5, married to Dr. Cam. My God, I want your life. Can I have your life, please, and thank you.
Oh my gosh, Q, you're so awesome. Thanks for having me. This is fun to be here with you this afternoon.
If you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
Hey. Thank you. Okay, so why don't you just give me the real quick origin story, where you from, and why nursing?
Okay, I grew up in Indiana, southern Indiana, Jeffersonville, right by Louisville, Kentucky, where the Derby is.
Oh, goody.
Then we moved to Utah, where I went to high school. I played high school basketball, which led me to a college basketball scholarship. So I played basketball in Colorado.
Wait, real talk?
Real talk. Can you back in the
college basketball scholarship?
I'm retired, Q. The sneakers are hung up. They're hung up.
Well, you did Indiana. It makes sense. Good for you.
Right. So I met my husband, Doc Cam, who was actually a radio DJ. When I first met him, he was in Colorado in college.
I don't know if it's too soon, but he might be next on the show. I don't know.
It's a whole nother story, right?
Yes.
So he switched career paths because I was in the nursing field, something I'd always wanted to do. That was where my heart was. There was no question. Nursing was where I was going. And so I think he got a look into the medical field, and he loved it, and he switched. And so from Colorado, we went to Arizona, then to San Diego. We went back to Colorado for residency, and currently we've been in Utah for about 8 years now. So we reside in Highland, Utah. Yeah.
So Utah is, it's Utah. So why Utah?
Q, have you been here? It's a hidden gem. I'm telling you, people that come to Utah say, I had no idea. Everybody loves it here. They want to move here. It's a lot like Colorado. The seasons are awesome.
Goody.
We have family here. My husband's from Idaho, so it's close to his family.
Wonderful.
It's a little bit of the best of both worlds, a little bit country, but we're still in the city a little bit. So our family loves the outdoors, and that's kind of what brought us back here.
I've definitely seen that on the inside, and we'll get there. But let's talk about nursing, okay? Because you're a nurse practitioner. You have your master's degree in nursing, and you did L&D for 12 years. So let's talk about when you got out of nursing school. Was it straight to L&D, and then that's where it all kicked off? Did you do any med surg? How did it end up?
I want to know why are you asking me if I did med surg? Are you going to judge me? Off that question, depending on what I say.
I can't say I won't, but I'd love to know.
Okay, well, so when I graduated, let's see, back in 2002, and I came out of nursing school, and I said, I'm going to go straight into labor and delivery. And you know what people said to me? You'll ruin your nursing career. You'll never get hired in labor and delivery. I got my first job on the day shift in labor and delivery at an amazing hospital in South Phoenix that was very underserved, and the best thing I ever did.
Were you doing nights, days?
I did days. Can you believe that?
Full-time?
I got a day shift, full time.
Oh, goodness.
Because they said they didn't want all the new grads on the night shift, so they kind of alternated on their hiring. So it was kind of baptism by fire. But only labor and delivery, some postpartum, some newborn nursery. But that's just where my passion was. There was just no getting around it. So
I have to say, during my clinicals in nursing school, I think I enjoyed labor and delivery by far. It's just like, obviously I know bad things does happen in labor and delivery, miscarriages, congenital heart defects, all of these things can happen, postpartum, hemorrhage, all of that stuff happens. But I was lucky enough that throughout my entire clinical at labor and delivery, it was literally the only time I can remember being in the hospital where it was happiness through and through. It's just good things happening. It's an amazing, amazing place to be.
It's an amazing place to be. A lot of times people said, well, how do you like your work? And sometimes I would be like, it's not work. Like, I literally loved it that much. And the thing about labor and delivery too, it is really critical care, because some people say, well, don't you get bored? It's just, laboring patients all day. But a lot of pathophysiology, a lot of critical care. You're really taking care of two patients. One of them you can't even see, and so I loved it. I loved working in the hospital. I miss it. I actually miss labor and delivery.
Okay, so that's a good transition, and you are pretty good at this, my friend. So you miss it, yes. So when did you decide, I'm not going to work labor and delivery anymore? I am going to do, go get my master's, go become a nurse practitioner. When did that happen?
Okay. Well, when I graduated with my bachelor's degree, because I did a bachelor's program, whereas some people start with, their associates and they go to bachelor's. I did my full bachelor's program and started. And when I graduated, I said, I will never go back to school ever again in all of my entire life. It is over. It's just never happening. And then about 11 years into my nursing career, I started having kind of an itch. Like, I wanted to do more. I kind of wanted to be diagnosing. I wanted to be giving some of the orders, and I just had this really burning desire. I'm very passionate about education.
Makes sense.
And I had a hard time, like, when I would educate a patient, I felt like they listened to me. But sometimes when the physician or, a nurse practitioner came in and then they would educate them, I felt like sometimes they would, okay, well, now we believe, what was.
Yes.
And I don't think I had that my whole nursing career, but kind of towards the end, I just kind of felt that and I wanted to do more. And so that's when I decided to go back. It was difficult. It was a difficult decision. And truly till like the day before, when I actually had to pay for my tuition, I was like, I'm not going to do it. And then I punched in that credit card number online and I said, this is it. And I went for it. So, yeah.
Good for you. I think, I don't know. It's just the schooling. I'm the same with you. School has always been rough for me. And I did do the associate's degree program. And I'm currently in an all online program to get my bachelor's degree. And school has just been super tough for me through and through. Yes, one day I would hope to continue to further my education, and we'll get there with you if you want to DNP. Maybe that's in the future. But school is just, it's tough. It really is a difficult decision to make. But I have to say, going from an associate's degree to a bachelor's degree, I find frustrating because I feel like once I get my bachelor's degree, I'm going to be doing the same thing I am now. You went to get your NP, right? So there's definitely an end goal. It's going to be different at the end, right? Was it like I graduated with my nurse practitioner, I got my master's, I finished school? Was it right away? Can you work as an RN if you have your NP? Is that even a thing?
Yes, you totally can. Absolutely. You can choose. You can choose to work under whichever license, at least in my state. Some states are different.
Makes sense, yes.
They're licensing. But in Utah, I could work as an RN or as an NP.
Okay.
So it's totally up to me. So just because I got my nurse practitioner and I have my master's, that doesn't void out my RN.
Okay.
So if I want to go get a job as an RN and labor delivery, I can do that tomorrow. But I'm practicing under
RN license.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So look, I want to get to the meat of this, right? So you're a family nurse practitioner. What does that mean? Are you taking care for everyone from 0 to 21, 26? What's the age group, and what exactly is, if you have a focus, what is it?
This is a great question. When I originally went back to master's school, because my experience was in labor and delivery, I was like, I'm getting my midwifery degree, which is a master's degree. It can be a doctorate degree, because a lot of people think midwifery, they think, birthing in your front living room with boiling water. And that's not the case when you're getting. And after the first semester, I really thought that's going to really narrow my focus so much. And I'm just not sure that I could take on that schedule, the call schedule and everything, because my husband has a busy schedule. And it was a giant, once again, leap of faith for me to reapply to get into the Family Nurse Practitioner program because my background was so heavy in midwifery and women's health. I was so good at it.
Yes.
Reapplying into Family Nurse Practitioner brought in elderly, brought in men, brought in pediatrics, brought in that med surge that I didn't have. But I'm telling you, it was the best thing I ever did for myself. It really made me get the cobwebs out. I started back kind of at the ground floor. And I still thought in my mind I would end up at women's health is what I thought I would end up. Because in Family Nurse Practitioner, you can work depending on where you live and what the job needs are.
Yes.
Where I live, I could work geriatrics, hospice. I could work in the hospital, pediatric, women's health. As a Family Nurse Practitioner, my degree and my license covers all those areas. So yes, from newborn till death.
Whenever that comes.
Correct.
Yes.
So when I was doing my rotations, I was like, well, I'll end up in women's health because that's where my, experience is.
Yes.
And I did my pediatric rotations and I fell in love with that population. I fell in love with the pathophysiology. I fell in love with these little resilient patients who listen to you. I fell in love with parents who people are like, well, that's going to be so annoying. You're working in pediatrics. Parents are annoying. I fell in love with these parents who, no matter their background, no matter the struggles they are having, when they bring their kids in, they will do whatever they can to help their kids. They listen to you, and they really want to be a part of a team to help their kids. And I just couldn't help myself. And so right now, that's where my specialty is I work with kids. I work pediatrics, so newborn to 19 years old.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So good for you. Good for you. So yes, newborn to 19 years old. I do have quite the few questions. And because you have labor and delivery experience, I feel like we can start at the newborn. It makes just the most sense. I have a few questions. Okay. So the baby is born. They come into this world. It's a beautiful, young, amazing baby, right? Those cheeks, I love those cheeks. Vaccinations. Can we just talk a little bit about vaccinations? Just because I know it's not as big as it was a couple of years ago, but a couple of years ago, there was this explosion of people saying, you don't need to vaccinate your kid. It's going to cause your kid to have Down syndrome. You just do it the all-natural way, and everyone else is vaccinated, so you don't have to worry because no one will get measles. I'm like, oh, my God. Please, can you help educate? Help.
Okay. This is a very sensitive topic.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
And actually, our pediatric clinic in the community where I live, my pediatric clinic is the only clinic that will take families that don't vaccinate.
Stop.
Okay?
Wait, really?
Yes.
Oh,
so all the other clinics, you have to be vaccinating your children. You have to be getting at least one vaccination per visit. So you can do a delayed schedule with them, but you have to be getting vaccinated. At our clinic, we accept families that don't vaccinate. Do I vaccinate my children? Yes, all 5 of them get their vaccinations. Absolutely. Do I get a flu shot? Yes, I get a flu shot. Okay. So when you're talking vaccinations and you're talking families, it's a sensitive topic because people do have different backgrounds. They do make different parenting choices. And a lot of that, which I have an amazing booklet. I am huge on research, Q. I'm huge on what does the proper research show us. And if you do your research, you will see that the media exploits research that is not backed. Okay. Small populations, small amounts of time. And so it's difficult. Like the HPV vaccination right now for the teenage girls. There are all these small studies coming out, scaring parents that it's going to do all this damage to their teenagers. But rather than say to parents, you don't vaccinate, you're crazy, or, well, I'm not even going to see your child. We bring those families in, we educate them, we talk about their specific questions, and we work with them. And I feel like that's the best approach to many areas of medicine.
Well, of course.
But the bottom line is, do I vaccinate my 5 children? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
So
okay. Yeah.
What more can I say?
And I appreciate you saying that, but you don't have to let us know what you do with your personal life. But I do want to know what you do with your patients, right? What you educate your patients and how you do so. And I love that you do that, right? Because I had no idea that there were certain clinics that said absolutely not. I knew there were schools that had the right to say you can't come in, but how can you consider yourself a hospital if you say no to a patient? I just don't see that as a...
Yeah, it's true. So we get a lot of those families. And the reason why I do tell you I vaccinate my kids is because saying that to families, it's not like I'm, in the clinic dishing out my personal life, but that does say something. That says, as a medical professional who's been in years of school, read all the research, but also as a mom of 5, that is what I do. And that is probably one of the only, personal pieces of information that I will share with my families, because I do think that says a lot to parents. So whether, that's going to get them to vaccinate or not vaccinate, but it's letting them kind of know where I stand without getting in a heated debate with them.
Of course. There's a couple of other touchy subjects I would like to talk to you about. So number one, I do want to ask you about breastfeeding.
Yes.
During nursing school, breastfeeding was, if you're giving birth, you're breastfeeding. If you're not breastfeeding, what are you doing, right? So is breastfeeding as amazing and as necessary as I was taught? And just being in Boston, Massachusetts, breastfeeding is like the one thing you must do as a mother.
Yes. Your question was, is breastfeeding amazing? Let me start with this.
Yes.
Let me start with this. Breastfeeding research is concrete.
Yes.
Okay. The benefits of breastfeeding are eye-opening. They're reassuring. Is it for everybody? No. Is it very difficult for some? Yes. Is it a breeze for some? Yes. So when we're talking about breastfeeding and we're talking about lactation and the importance of our newborn's health, obviously you'll hear breast is best.
Yes.
Then you'll hear a lot of campaigns that say, well, fed is best. Fed is best.
What's fed? I'm sorry, I don't know what that. What do you mean?
Fed means whether it's formula or breast milk.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Fed is best. So once again, you're coming down to a parent who wants to come in. If they're breastfeeding, everything's going well. I'm educating in the clinic. I'm educating awesome. High five. You come see me every day of the week if you need to see me with breastfeeding help. If I have a mom who comes in 2 weeks postpartum, is having postpartum depression, guilt because she can't breastfeed, not doing well, that's a different conversation.
That is a different conversation.
I have a mom who comes says, my mom never breastfed me. I'm only formula feeding. Great for them. But really, what we're talking about here, Q, and it's so important, and I see this daily here in my community, is that there are women, because I'm not going to generalize, but this does happen, that get pregnant, and we're not educating ourselves. We're seeing our friends have baby, or we're seeing, celebrities have babies, and we think that we're going to be pregnant, and it's not going to be a big deal for 9 months, and we'll have the baby in labor, and then the baby will just go to the breast, and that's not the reality. So the biggest thing I can tell women who want to find out, or nurses that want to do better at the bedside, is educate yourself on breastfeeding, educate yourself on the technique, educate yourself on the benefits, educate yourself on the cost benefits. Formula free, formula, what is it, $6,000 for the first year or something, educating yourself. But we can't, debunk the research of antibodies, that are given to our babies, the immune system buildup. We can't debunk that. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. I love it. Go, the research, you said it. I love it. You said it. I love it. You go with the research. That's the reason they have the scientific process. It's amazing. We do all this research that's out there.
Let me say this.
Go ahead.
Was I breastfed? No, I was formula fed. I'm doing pretty darn good, right?
I'd say so.
Yeah. So, that's not to put down anybody who isn't breastfeeding. Make your own choices that are best for your family. But that's what the research says. So that's what I'm always going to encourage for my patients in the beginning.
Makes sense. It's not a do or die, but it is helpful to breastfeed according to the research.
100%.
According to the research.
Yeah.
Okay, another touchy topic, circumcision. So can we talk about circumcision? I feel like when I was younger, back in the day, it was just a normal thing. It's not an issue. Get circumcised if that's what you want. I feel like now people are starting to question it a little more. And this is the one thing, vaccinations, I'm all for. Breastfeeding, I'm all for. Circumcision, I just don't know. Sure, I feel like it's more of a cultural thing than it is an actual health thing. What is the actual like, what do you say to patients that come to you saying, I don't know if I should circumcise my son? What should I do?
That is a personal preference. It's almost become now a cosmetic surgery. Some insurances don't even cover it anymore because that's what it shows, that the health benefits aren't really, no benefits are outweighing the risk or anything like that. So when it comes to circumcision, that's a completely independent choice for the parent. And there's really no research to say either way one outweighs the other. So yeah.
And that's what I've seen as myself, because the research doesn't say do one over the other. It's just out there, right? Like it's just a choice. And right now it seems a lot like tradition than it does actual science.
Yeah. Which there are some studies that you will read about as kids get older, and if the males look different down there than their peers, there is a mental factor that plays a part of it. So I wouldn't say that there's no repercussion, if you don't circumcision, because you should take that into account, because as the boys get older, that will come into play, and that can be a heavy conversation.
Oh, that is a heavy. I never even thought about that. I really never thought about that. But it is a big deal, because I can remember my football locker room days, and we knew who was circumcised and who wasn't. That's a thing. Like that happened.
Well, and hearing about a 11-year-old boy getting circumcised or an 8-year-old boy, that's not uncommon to hear that. And that is a way more painful procedure than when it's a newborn, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. So let's transition a little bit into the kid. So you doing labor and delivery. One question I've always wanted to know is, I don't know, but I know at the labor and delivery places here in Boston and where I went for my clinical, once the baby is born, do they automatically go to a pediatrician if something's wrong with them, or do they stay at the labor and delivery unit floor hospital?
That's a great question. If there is a problem, they have a NICU, so they'll have a neonatal intensive care unit that is staffed 24/7. Any hospital, any major hospital, even middle, level 3 hospitals have in-staff neonatal physicians. They'll also have NICU nurse practitioners. Pediatricians, the role of the pediatrician and nurse practitioner, pediatric nurse practitioner in the hospital is really internists are coming in, like a hospitalist, which is really taking over, like a pediatric hospitalist, where they stay at the hospital and they're doing rounds on all the babies. So, that would be for me when I have new families that want to come see me. They'll say, come see me in the hospital. And that really depends on the day you deliver. And moms are in and out of the hospital so quickly. You rarely see, the pediatrician. You're coming to the office 2 days later, and that's really the first encounter.
Oh, wow. Okay. No, that's nice. All right. So let's move over to toddlers, kids that age. And this one, I don't want the details, because I feel like you can go into, like, there's 1,000,001 how to raise your kid books out there. But there's a few things I wanted to touch up on. So can we just talk about social media, screen time with kids these days? Is this something that is an actual issue? Is screen time an actual issue? The future, the way I see it, is the screens are going to get bigger and they're going to be all around us 24/7. Like I said, I don't need to know what your family situation is, what your disciplines is at the house, but what do you tell your patients when it comes to, my daughter's only quiet when she has the iPad, my son's only quiet when he's playing his video games, I can't control them, they have these temper tantrums, help me.
Right. This is such a great question. We literally could probably spend 2 hours on this, and I'm actually going to be getting into this on my social media account here in the coming weeks, because school's starting. I'm going to be hitting some mental health topics, and screen time is actually one of them. I'm kind of repeating myself here, but this is about education, okay? So I want you to go back, 30, 40 years when TVs were first out, and I'm sure there was the same repercussions. Our grandparents, Johnny, you're watching the TV too much, but then everybody was up on the TV, and then now the TV's bad. The same thing, people are very concerned about the social apps, Instagram, what's the other one? Snapchat. Similar situation, the first the PlayStations, or what are those called? Nintendos came out. Okay. Yes. When I was growing up, my parents were like, we will not have a Nintendo in this house. And well, guess what I did when I ran over to Renee's house? She was my neighbor. I played Nintendo. Okay. So there's a lot of campaigns out right now that are saying, absolutely no media, it's destroying families. And I tell my patients that's not going to happen. That's not reality.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And the thing is, you're so right. And like, yes, you're right. Because if you, as the parent, tell your kids you can't watch it, you can't do any of it, it's not allowed, the second it is available, that's all they want, right? And they're going to do it at their friend's house. They're going to do it at school. They're going to do it wherever they can do it. So it's, I think my personal view on this is, at least if you have it in the house, you can have your rules around it. But you know, just make sure that when they are online, you are monitoring them. They can't go to any website in the world. They can't watch any Netflix movie they want. Like, there's the parental, what is it called? The blocking thing.
Yeah, it's called parenting.
Yes.
And it's hard. Okay, I got 5 of them. But let me tell you, I've had so many conversations with medical professionals, moms, dads. You know, don't give your kid a phone until they're 14. You know, never give your kid a phone. Oh, we'll give an 8-year-old a phone. Or you know, we know American Academy of Pediatrics, less than 2 years of age, very minimal screen time. Very minimal screen time. There's standards. There's research-based standards, okay? So, you know, if you are going to give your kid, this is the thing that I do. If I have a babysitter over, actually that's the time I do let my kids be on their screens. Which might sound kind of weird to you, but when I'm home, they're not on their screens a lot. So I'll say, oh, they can watch a Disney show on there, or they can be on this thing. That's kind of like their fun time. Very limited, very structured. And we know the most important thing, especially for young kids up to teenagers, especially teenagers, is no screen time, no cell phones, 2 hours before bedtime. That research is so significant. There's a reflective blue light in your phone.
Yes.
Because I will have teenagers come in, oh, well, I'm reading. I read at night. Well, what do you read on? Oh, I read on my phone. You can't. It'd be better to watch a movie on a TV, because the research is finding this blue light from this light is not letting kids, adults get down into REM sleep. So we're not even getting into that deep sleep. We're waking up grumpy, restless, and it's because of, you know, our devices. So absolutely, that is a standard that should be hard and fast. You don't have cell phones past 8 p.m. Hard and fast. That's research-based. Now, am I going to tell you what age to give one to your kid? There's no research out. I'm not going to tell you.
I love that. Oh my goodness, I love that. And I actually did not know that. That's actually really nice to know. The world welcomes, understand that I'm learning. This is great. This is great to know. This is good information.
Good, right? And it can be basic pieces of information that really can make all the difference.
Oh, yes. So, oh, that's very true. That is very true. Okay. And then when it comes to discipline, I want to talk a little bit about discipline. Okay. I do come from. Okay. When it comes to disciplining your children, not your children, children in general, when it comes to disciplining children, is it timeouts that work better? Is it the yelling, the screaming? Is it the physical? I don't even know if that's something that is something that's even talked about anymore, but it does happen. It's just a fact. How do you go about helping your parents discipline kids? Because I feel like it's one of the hardest things in the world, especially when you do have a lot of children. I come from a family of 5, 6 kids. So when my older sibling got to do something I didn't get to do, it was the end of the world. When I got a toy that my older sibling never got, it was the end of the world. How do you do the disciplining when your kids are just running amok?
Okay, I'm going to say the P word again, parenting. Okay, parenting. You wish you had all the answers, and we each are raised a different way. We come from different families, and then, you know, if you're getting married or if you're a single parent, there is no overall general rule for every single kid. I've got 5 kids, and I kind of parent different for 2 or 3 of them. They have very different personalities. So people don't want to hear this, and it's difficult to do in our day and age because we like to Google, we like to get things very quick. We want our kids to respond to us very quickly. You have to read books. You have to put them on your headphones. You have to read them. You have to go to workshops. You have to be part of Facebook parenting groups. You have to educate yourself. You're raising a human being. So, and it can be frustrating. I totally get it, but I'll have parents come in, you know, Tommy, he's 4 years old. He's on the walls. He's doing this, and he's blowing, you know, I can't sleep, and I'm losing my mind. And I say, yeah, you're doing great. That's 4 years old. That's the developmental stage he's in, right? And so understanding those developmental stage and those milestones, oh, shoot, 1 second. My light went out.
No problem.
Is so important. It's so important because then as a parent, you can be reassured.
Yes.
I'm doing a segment tomorrow on our little local TV show here about back to school mental health moments, okay? Because I tell all of my kids going back to school, whether it's a preschool or a junior in high school, when you start school, you will have a disruption in your regular schedule. It's a change of environment. I don't care if you've been to the high school for 3 years. You will feel anxious. You know, you will be ornery and tired. And I tell parents to expect that. So then when they come to me a month later and say, oh, well, Sarah's, really anxious. She's been in school for a month and she can't keep up and her friends are rude. I'm going to shake my head like you're doing and going, yeah, yes, that's about right. How are we going to manage this and how are we going to teach her to manage it? Yeah. So understanding those normals is so important in parenting because it gives us confidence. It gives our patients and confidence. Oh, I knew that he's supposed to act that way and this is how I'm going to respond to him. So you got to educate yourself.
What I really appreciate about this is that, yes, you're telling me what you know and what you think is the right way to go about things, but it is, like you said, like a million times, it's parenting. It's personal to not only each parent, but to each kid for that parent, right? So you can't have one answer. You can't discipline every child on the planet the same way. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. I love that. All right, so let's move into the adolescence, and this is my goddamn favorite. I have fun. This is where things turn up just a little bit, So let's talk about sex, okay? Sex is the exciting time when you become a teenager, and I think middle school, getting into high school, this is where sex really starts to happen. The drugs come out there. How do you educate? Are you, let's not have sex until marriage? Are you educating kids? Let's get the most education as possible in front of these kids so they know what to do when the opportunity comes or if they decide to do it. Where do you stand with that, and what do you think, and what do you tell your patients?
Okay, I love this. Actually, cute teenagers are one of the reasons I went into pediatrics, because I did see healthcare providers not talking to these kids. And that, in my opinion, is a disservice, okay? Our kids are smart, and we want to be like, well, our kids are lazy, our kids are on their phone. Our kids are smart,
yes,
and they want to hear it straight out of our mouths. So you're doggone right. When I have 6th graders that are getting ready to go to 7th grade, I do a lot of education about the body, knowing our bodies very young. But once that kid is headed into 7th grade, I lay it straight out to them. And I actually get really good feedback from parents. I have had a few times, one thing I'll just go over, I had a 7th grade boy. He wasn't my patient. His dad brought him in for a physical, usually saw another provider. And I just do my spiel. I know it all. I said, people are going to be having sex. You can, if you don't use a condom, when you have sex, you can get somebody pregnant. Johnny, do you know what a condom is? His eyes were this big. Then I looked over at his dad, and his dad was very uptight. And I said, well, this is great. You and dad are going to have an awesome chance to talk on the way home, because if he doesn't know now, he's going to know very quickly. So once again, what are we doing to our kids? Not telling them so they can go in with their peers and let their peers educate them.
Yep. Or the internet.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah. So, no, it's just is life, right? They're going to find out, or they're going to do it some way. If they don't get the education, they're going to find a way to get it done the way they think is right? So if you just give them the education up front, tell them that you are open to all the questions in the world. So, yes, it might be awkward. Yes, no one wants to actually talk about these things at the dinner table. And yes, that's all of that stuff is true. But if you don't talk about it, bad things could happen, right? Bad things could happen.
I feel like it's so important. I actually talked about this yesterday a little bit on my Insta stories. When parents come in, I've had parents come in and they're having problems with the child, and I'll say, well, what does your teacher say? Oh, I haven't talked to my teacher about it. Okay, well, what are their sports coach say? Oh, I haven't mentioned it. Why can't we all come together in our communities? Healthcare provider, coach, teachers. I mean, I want people in my community to be helping my kids. I'm not naive to think my kids are going to need more help than I can offer them. So when kids come into me and I have a chance to talk to them about sex, drugs, alcohol, divorce, poverty, you're doggone right. I'm going to take that opportunity. I'm going to let them know that I am a lifeline for them. You're not alone. And I'm going to let the mom and dad know, you guys aren't alone. I'm on your team. If anything happened, people make mistakes. People make different choices. Yeah. I am here to help you no matter what. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be doing that for our kids.
It makes sense. It makes sense. I love it. Preach, girl. Preach.
Amen.
Yes. Okay. So, on the same topic about sex, I think in recent past, especially with social media, like the Kardashians and all of that good stuff, do you have? What is your opinion right now on? I don't even want to call it a trend. What is your opinion on the transgender situation that's going on? Do you care for any families, any children that are going through transitions? Is that something that if a parent comes in and they say, because I know in nursing school, I was taught gender identity is understood and to the child at the age of like 2 or 3 years old, right? So if a parent comes into you and says, my child who was born a boy wants to be a woman, is that something? I just feel like that transition when someone's a child is such an insane ask, because it's your life, right? It's not something you can just decide and then go back. You can't make that kind of decision, and if you let your child make that kind of decision, it's difficult. I'm not saying it's not a real thing, but I am asking, when parents come in or when teenagers come into you and say, I don't want to be a man, I want to be a woman, how do we have that conversation? And where should we?
Yeah, well, that's a very difficult conversation. I'm not a specialist in that area, but how I can kind of approach this in kind of a basic situation, because I'm not trying to label this as mental health either at all, okay? Yeah. It can also be a little bit like, a diabetic. We don't really see a lot of manifestations on the outside, but we know they have insulin issues. Yes. And they're diabetic, okay? Yes. The same thing when somebody comes in and says they have anxiety. I can't see anxiety on the outside of their body, right? So a child comes in or a parent comes in and they have gender issue, identity crisis, feelings. That is going to be such a team approach. There's no yes or no to that at all. Because we're going to bring on psychologists, because either way, we're going to need that experience and research. We're going to bring on endocrinologists to make sure, check all testosterone, estrogen, we're going to check all levels and everything like that. So that is a very broad topic, but one that has to be broached very sensitively. So I treat all my patients, it doesn't matter, any type of their background. Once again, my job is to establish a safe place for them to come in to be able to share whatever issues, whatever feelings, medical, mental, emotional, that they're going through.
Great. I'm almost done with the medical questions, and then we can end up with your future in nursing and how you do all that good stuff. So let's talk, because we've mentioned mental illness quite a bit in these conversations, and we even just the general topics I brought up. So let's talk about a little bit about mental illness. It's very difficult for me, and I know these days kids are running all over the place. You throw Adderall at them, you throw all of those medications at them, but I know in my personal life and in the hospitals I've been at, we don't really start diagnosing children with mental disorders up until the time they're adolescents. Do you see mental illness in children, like kids, toddlers, babies, 10 years old? Do you see that, or does it only show up or get diagnosed when they become teenagers?
Right. Well, you're going to see more prominently in teenagers because of the hormone level changes and everything in the developmental stage. We're going to see it more prominently with that age group. That being said, Q, you're right. There are a lot of parents that bring their children in that are younger. Man, if I could tell you some of the stories. So that's why it's so important that parents, that even individuals, if they don't have kids for themselves, find a healthcare provider that they trust, that will spend time with them, that will educate them, and that will care about them. Because it's sad, this as a nurse, we know this in our field, that you will find healthcare providers who just want to give a prescription. I've got to see 35 patients, quickly get out of my office. And that sounds harsh.
It does.
It sounds harsh. It's real. Yeah. And I can see a mom's face sitting in my clinic, new patient, come in the room. She had 4 prescriptions on her lap. How are you doing? I'm Cami Kesler. I'm your nurse practitioner. She said, I don't know how I'm doing because I went and saw this other provider at a different clinic. He told me to fill these prescriptions. I don't know what they're for. I'm scared to fill them. And I shook her hand and I said, yeah, let's talk about this. You are right to come here. You are right to do something. If you don't feel good about it or know the why behind it, to come to somebody else.
Exactly.
So, we're not going to be pushing a lot of Adderall. There are screening tests that all healthcare providers should be going to. That is a tracked substance. It is a powerful substance. Is it needed? Yes, it is needed. So I'm not saying it's not.
Yes.
But, nobody's coming into my clinic and getting a prescription with no follow-up, with not seeing a psychologist, and without being educated by me.
Yeah.
And we're really not, the research shows for Adderall and ADHD and, those type of, that's more of a third, fourth grade. So that's, we're talking about like 7, 8, 9-year-olds is the earliest that we're going to start seeing that.
Okay.
But that should not be a one-man show. That is a total team approach to that. Okay. So, and it's important to recognize that.
Very, very, very important. I do go through, ladies and gentlemen, she's mentioned her social, she's mentioned Instagram. The reason I'm talking to this wonderful nurse practitioner is because I follow her and I love her on Instagram.
I love you too. You're so sweet.
So just got to let you know. I just want to let you know. You have the perfect picture family. Oh my God.
You're nice.
The family, your family looks wonderful. The entire family looks absolutely wonderful. So on your Instagram, you do these things called the pediatrician pearls, the pediatric pearls.
Pediatric pearls.
Pediatric pearls. Please share with the world some pediatric pearls. What is it? What is it? How often do you do it, and why? I love that. I love them.
Remember this cue? I know you've heard about this from nursing school. This is our medical terminology, these medical pearls or medical zebras. Do you remember that a little bit from nursing school?
Yes.
I started that because when I first started working in my clinic, I had a bunch of handouts, and I would notice people don't want the handouts. They leave the handouts. So then I started having parents take pictures of my handouts. We'll just take a picture. You always have it on your cell phone.
Yes.
Because education is my jam. That is what I love to do. And so I actually started that account for my patients and families because, people were coming in, they didn't even know what a fever, what's a fever, when should I bring the kid in? Well, heavens, here's a pearl. It's this valuable, tiny piece of information, but man, it is powerful and it can make a huge difference, right? This piece of knowledge. So that's what a pearl is. It's a small thing, but man, it's valuable. So I started sharing these with my families. It's become something so fun for me to do. And the feedback from the Instagram community has been awesome. And from my families, it's been super awesome. So I've loved it.
Yeah, no, pediatric pearls, I love it. I think the jam.
Yeah.
And it helps you remember when you have it in those nugget size bits of information. It really helps you remember it as well as just be nice to hold on to. Okay, please. Let us know, where can we find you? Facebook, your Instagram, YouTube, whatever you've got. Let the world know, because you've given me so much. Please.
Well, I'm a little small Instagrammer. I'm really trying to work on my YouTube channel, but I got 5 kids, so I'm getting there.
Yes.
So you can find all my content just right there on Instagram at Cami Kesler _nurse practitioner. And I have some things in the works for the fall for a website and stuff, but that's where you can find most of my stuff.
Okay. So to end this, I want to talk about your future. All right, because it looks bright as ever. So do you see yourself? You said you weren't that excited to jump back into school, but do you see yourself ever DNP? Is that something that you even thinking about? You are a nurse practitioner. It sounds like you're in a really good place, but do you want to do that?
I will do that because I would love to be a professor. I would love to teach. But currently there is no benefit to do that in the position I am. There's no change in salary. It really doesn't do anything extra for me, which I think it's great if people choose to do that or if it's incorporated in their program. Awesome. I mean, the more education you can get, the better. But for me, for the stage of life for my children, I'm just utilizing the heck out of my master's degree and loving every minute of it.
Congratulations. And then I don't know. I know maybe 2 or 3 nurse practitioners that have a clinic. Would you ever open your own clinic? And is it even possible in the state of Utah for a nurse practitioner to have a clinic?
That is a great question. Yes, it is possible. I can work independently, which is also a difference between a physician's assistant and a nurse practitioner in our state. Will I ever do it? I will never say never.
Of course.
Who is that, Justin Bieber, or is that Taylor Swift? I can't remember.
Whoever it is.
Probably not. I have 5 kids, and actually, when I was in master's school, I took a business class, and I had to look into that. You have to give everything you've got. It's a financial investment. And I love my 5 kids. I love my husband, and I love my families, but I got to find that balance. So for me, that's probably never possibly going to happen. I'm really trying to get more into some humanitarian work and stuff, so that's kind of where my heart is also. So right now it's a perfect gig for my stage of life.
Okay, so I have to ask, you're a nurse practitioner. It's over. I know. I'm sorry, your babysitter. I got you.
I wish we had longer.
But I have to ask, you're super busy. You're a nurse practitioner.
Yes.
You're a full-time mom. I mean, that's nonstop, 24/7, 365.
Yes.
And the husband, all of this, the Instagram, the social.
Yes.
What does Cami do for fun? What do you do for your me time? Right? Like, how do you get out of all of that and just say, let me be me for 10 minutes?
That's a great question. Actually, that's something, Q, I've actually been working on for about the past 6 months. This year has been a kind of a transformation for me, because self-care is so important. And our lives, me and my husband, we grinded through his medical school and residency and training, and then I went back to school, and I've been grinding through that. I've really noticed how important it is to stay up on your self-care. I do find joy being with my family. I do love to be out with them, so that is something that brings me joy. But taking care of myself, I'm really into Orange Theory. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Of course, I know Orange Theory, yes.
I love running in the mountains with my sisters. And we're a very outdoors family. I mean, if you could find me anywhere, it would be on a lake in Idaho, surrounded by, the pine trees. And then I'm also really taking up yoga this fall. So I'm working on that. So thank you for bringing that up, because that actually is super important. And I think as nurses, our hearts are servant hearts.
Yes.
And sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves, and to remember that that's not a selfish thing, that's a needful thing, so we can take care of other people. Yeah. So thanks for asking me that. I appreciate it.
Of course. So ladies and gentlemen, I do want to let you know something before I let her go, because I mentioned this when it is only true, and it is true in this situation, okay? So she says that her main go-to, if you want to catch her or any of her content, is Instagram, and it is so true that it is Instagram. Love your Insta. But for those who have questions, for those who want to reach out, this conversation, this interview, what you are seeing right now is only possible because I jumped into those DMs. She does respond, so jump in those DMs, go follow her, comment, have the conversations that you need to have. I asked her some crazy brazen questions, and she answered it open-heartedly. I'm sure she would do the same for y'all. Please go check her out. I am so thankful that you came on. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate this.
Come see me in Utah. Come see me. You got a place to stay out here, buddy.
Woo! Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it. It's on camera.
That's right.
So yes, thank you.